Keto cake is what we've got on tap today. Not just any keto cake recipe though, we're gonna be making a keto chocolate cake. And if you love chocolate, you're gonna love today's recipe because it's full of chocolate. I'm even gonna show you how to make a keto chocolate buttercream frosting for the keto chocolate cake. It's just a match made in heaven. You have chocolate on chocolate. It is so delicious, so rich, so decadent, and dare I say it, this keto cake is just, it's so moist. With that being said, let's get right into the recipe. Make this keto cake. All right, so the first thing we want to do for our keto cake today is preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Next, we'll want to bring some eggs up to room temperature. So we'll take those out of the fridge, and then we'll also want to do the same thing with 2 sticks of butter. So now we'll want to get out our food scale and a large bowl, and we'll want to start adding the dry ingredients for today's keto chocolate cake recipe. The first ingredient we're adding is blanched almond flour. If you've seen any of my other recipes, you know I really like this one by Kirkland's, and the reason I like it is because it's cheap and every serving only has 2 net carbs. Anyways, for our keto cake today, we'll be adding 1 3/4 cup or 198 grams of that almond flour to our bowl. And then we're also going to add some chocolate flavor in a really keto friendly way. And we're going to do that by using some unsweetened cocoa powder. So with that being said, we're going to add 1/3 cup or 25 grams of that stuff for our keto chocolate cake today. The next thing we'll want to do is sweeten up our keto cake, and we'll want to do that without adding any carbs or calories. So we're going to use some confectioner's swerve. If you want to pick this stuff up, it's really delicious. It's what I use to sweeten up pretty much all my recipes. There's a link to grab it in the video description below. But regardless, we'll be adding 2/3 cup or 100 grams of it for our keto cake recipe today. Now we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda along with a teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. At this point, we can take out our whisk and whisk those ingredients until they're combined and looking chocolatey. And once that happens, we're going to start adding our wet ingredients for our keto chocolate cake. So the first thing we'll add is going to be 3 of those eggs that we brought up to room temperature from before. And then we're also going to add a heaping 1/4 cup or 75 milliliters of unsweetened vanilla almond milk. We'll also want to add 2.5 tablespoons or 35 grams of melted coconut oil, as well as a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So now at this point, we'll want to get out a spatula and start mixing the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients of our keto chocolate cake. And we'll want to mix these together until a thick chocolatey cake batter forms. Once it does, we'll want to get out a 7-inch springform pan. We're going to coat it with baking spray, and then we're going to start adding our keto cake batter to the pan. So once we've added all the keto cake batter, we want to evenly spread it out in the pan like I'm doing here. And then we'll want to bake it in the oven for around 20 to 25 minutes. In the meantime of our cake baking, we're going to start getting together the frosting for our keto cake. So in a large bowl, we're going to add those 2 sticks of butter that we brought up to room temperature from before. And then we're going to cream those 2 sticks of butter with a hand mixer. Once we've creamed the butter, we can move on to adding some sweetness to our frosting. And once again, we're going to do this by adding just less than a cup or 125 grams of confectioner swerve. And then we're also going to add a cup or 80 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder to give the keto frosting, just like we gave our keto cake, its chocolate flavor. And then lastly, we're going to add a 1/2 cup or 120 grams of unsweetened vanilla almond milk. So now we're all set to get out our spatula and mix all of those ingredients together until they're combined and our chocolate buttercream frosting has developed. Once that happens, we can set that bowl aside, and at this point our keto cake should be finishing up in the oven. So we'll take that out and let it cool down completely in the pan itself. After the cake cools, we're just going to remove the outer ring of the pan and then transfer the keto cake to a large plate upside down like I'm doing here. At this point, we're all set to start frosting the keto cake. So we'll add our frosting from earlier, and then we're going to use an icing spatula to evenly distribute it around our cake. So once the frosting is looking good like this, our keto chocolate cake is ready to be served. And then check this out. This is what it ends up looking like. And the crazy thing is that it tastes even more delicious than it looks. As always, guys, for more information about today's keto cake recipe, check the video description below, and I hope you enjoy it.